A very good afternoon, everyone. It's always great to address an audience like this who are steering the healthcare sector within the region. And our journey for the next 30 minutes is going to be so exciting because we're going to take a deep dive into data and AI, especially in healthcare sector. And of course, we'll also explore how the regional healthcare provider organizations need to shape up to prepare for the AI-powered, data-first future. Let me start with this powerful quote from Dr. Eric Topol. Most of you may be familiar with Dr. Eric Topol, who has also written a very interesting book on deep medicine, in which he has beautifully merged AI and healthcare. And the underlying factor of this quote is mainly the gift of time from AI, wherein Dr. Topol is focusing on the importance of prioritizing efficiency. In fact, Terry was projecting this particular factor during his presentation in the morning. And the main factor is the importance of focusing on efficiency of the healthcare workforce. And to be more precise, efficiency of the clinicians to spend enough time with the patients, to spend quality time with the patients, because that itself is a core part of care. Now, let me just bring in the word of efficiency to this slide as well, because during my conversation with the CIOs and CEOs and CTOs of the healthcare organizations, for example, multi-speciality and super specialty hospitals in the region, especially for the past, let's say 2 years, this particular word efficiency has got reflected on multiple times, right? So it's not only conversations, it's also creating more towards their investment priorities as well. So I would just stress on the fact that Asia-Pacific healthcare sector is passing through a revolutionary phase, a phase that is driven by the digital surge in the clinical data, that is powered by AI, Gen AI, and most recently agentic AI, and a phase that demands efficiency. Now, when I say efficiency, I'm just slightly widening the horizon, efficiency of the workforce as well as efficiency of the workflow as well, right? So in this scenario, there are mainly 4 healthcare investment priorities, as you can see on the slide here. And this is going to be an anchoring slide. For example, the next set of slides as well will be focusing more on this. We'll take a deep dive into it. For example, we'll just quickly take a quick glance through the sides. On the left extreme box, the box number 1, you can see the healthcare-specific Gen AI solutions, where the focus is more on enhancing the clinician's efficiency. At the same time, hyper-personalizing the patient experience. You all agree with me, this hyper-personalization word has got evolved along with Gen AI, because that's the power of generative AI that we are talking about. Now, when we move on to the second box, which is more on healthcare, enhancing the healthcare workflow, mainly here the focus is more on workflow efficiency management to ensure there are more care outcome in place. Third box is very interesting because this mainly addressing at the evolving care delivery model within the region, mainly to focusing on patient centricity, which is very important for a region like Asia Pacific, because we have got vast countries. For example, countries like Indonesia, countries like Malaysia, India, Australia. So a well-centered patients, the care system is not really going to be sufficient. And here the focus is more on care accessibility and convenience. Now, in order to ensure, for all these 3 segments to be successful, to be sustainable, and to be scalable, there need to be a focus on the 4th box, as you can see here, which is on cybersecurity. Now, in the current context of AI-enabled attacks and complexity of cyber attacks are increasing, it's not just a security, it's beyond security, which we call as cyber resilience, right? So here the focus is more on real-time threat detection and on priority, which we're going to we'll see a deep dive in the upcoming slides. Now, before we move on to the next slide, I really want to emphasize the fact that all these investment priorities have got a single anchoring point. What is an anchoring point? Which is a trusted clinical data. And of course, the secure data platform as well, right? So when I say about data, in the current context, AI-driven healthcare context, data is no more an enabler of care. Data is no more an outcome of care as well, because in the current context of real-time data analytics, in the current context of clinical decision support system, whereas a clinician is well supported on the real time, a surgeon is well supported on the real time, Data itself is becoming care, right? So, and we are seeing an evolution, the current evolution of AI. We have seen the foundational AI or classical AI that we see, and then comes the generative AI. Then we are seeing AI agents, and most recently we are seeing agentic AI as well. In this current context, they need to be more emphasized and focus on data priority and data platform, which itself is going to set the journey, ensure the journey for the healthcare provider organization within the region. Now, when I talk about the journey at IDC, we define this journey in terms of AI scrambles. For example, over the past 2 years or so, we have seen, it was more on initial AI scrambles, where the adoption of healthcare organizations with the region was more on experimentation phase. For example, even though the organizations were not really ready, AI ready, they were adopting it, mainly because of the FOMO concept. For example, fear of missing out concept. If I didn't adapt, I may be missed out from the market, right? So most of the adoption were on experimentation phase. But we have to understand that the end state is the AI-fueled organizations, right? Whereas what we aim to achieve is more holistic, more synergistic kind of AI capabilities for the organization, for the region, to ensure better care outcome. But that is 2027 plus that we talk about, a slightly futuristic scenario. But in the current situation where we are in 2025, we call it as more an inflection point. We call it as AI pivot stage. That's the current state we are in. And it's a very interesting state as well. Why? Because we are in a transition phase. We are in a transition phase between an initial adoption of experimentation AI, transitioning towards more, optimized AI-fueled organization. Now, so many things are happening in the region. So in the next couple of slides, what we're going to do is, definitely I'll take a deep dive into those the focus for, the investment priorities. But before I really getting on to those set of slides, let me just, in the next 2 slides, including this, let me just give you an overall healthcare priority within the region. And then I'll just come to this graph. And then, I will also take you through next couple of slides by bringing a merging, not only the data, I'll also bring in very interesting case studies as we move on. I will also bring in very interesting prediction statements as well, which will take us next to 3 to 4 years down the line, right? And then I'm going to conclude this session with a very interesting framework, which is a CARE framework, C-A-R-E, which is definitely going to precipitate within your mind when we are all dispersed for lunch today, right? So with that, let us understand overall healthcare priorities within the region. And when you focus on the slide, let us focus on the first left side graph. And I just want to state the fact that there is a clear focus on tech-enabled value-based care within the region for the healthcare organizations. Why? Because the topmost healthcare priority for the healthcare provider organizations is more on evolving patient care delivery model, which we were addressing earlier. So what we have seen is a telehealth adoption we have already seen, but it's slowly moving more towards the healthcare at home kind of movements. But in the current context of real-time data generation, it's more moving towards AI-powered personalization of care. Second priority we can see is on quality of care management. This is mainly in the context of clinical decision support system. There is more focus on the care outcome. And third priority, as you can see, on operational angle, operational efficiency. Operational efficiency mainly focusing more towards intelligent automation, more towards workflow optimization, so that there is a better care outcome. And the fourth priority you can see is on investment on cybersecurity, which is I would say it's a non-negotiable investment, right? And a quarter of the organization, I just want to touch upon the sustainability angle as well, right? Even though it's a quarter of the organization projected that, there is more focus, there's an interest, more to interest towards sustainability angle, because the regional organization need to be more energy efficient, more resource efficiency as well. For example, one specific case is on Aster DM Healthcare, which is the hospital chain in India and Middle East. They have recently, for example, around 2 weeks back, they have invested on a solar farm on the southern state of India, so that they need to be more efficient on energy consumption, and they expect to save around $500,000 annually through this. So that's a kind of sustainability angle that the region is focusing on. Now, when we move to the right side of the graph, in order to align with these investment priorities, there's more focus towards connectivity care management. When we see on the right side graph, on the topmost bar, there is more connectivity. For example, we see the more focus on remote patient monitoring, more focus on mobile health, more focus on wearables. So what we see is a more connected care management system. This is very important for the region because the region itself is suffering from multiple challenges. For example, Asia Pacific is really aging. For example, Japan and South Korea are aged countries, and it's more tough to manage aging population. For example, there need to be the traditional system is not going to be suffice. There need to be a more AI-enabled, data-enabled kind of care mechanism, and of course on non-communicable diseases as well, like NCDs, to bring in our data. Almost 62% of the total deaths within the region is mainly coming from because of non-communicable diseases. So that's why there's more focus towards connectivity care management. Second, the focus area is more on documentation side, which definitely we are all talking about currently, which we will talk about in the later slides as well. So more focus on clinical documentation and support solutions. And it's more interesting in the current scenario where it's more AI-enabled, right? So there's more efficiencies being inbuilt into it for better adoption. Now moving on to the next slide to understand more on the KPI adoption for the region. Let me just drink some water. Okay, when we talk about KPIs, I just want to focus on 3 specific areas. For example, more focusing on the prioritizing efficiency, experience, and outcome-driven care for patients. So the region still faces, we have already seen in the morning presentations, we face clinician shortages, workforce shortages. We feel clinicians burnout, we experience clinician burnout as well. Hence, it's a topmost track KPI for the healthcare provider organization is more towards workforce and employee productivity, right? And second topmost track was on patient experience, especially in the context of virtual care, even though the current patient experience tracking is more focusing towards urban cities or tier 1 cities, it's really going to percolate it down the level to the rest of the cities in the upcoming years as well, right? And third one is on treatment success rates. I just want to spend a couple of seconds or minutes on this. It can be linked with 2 angles. For example, technologically enabled treatment success rate, which we are all discussing on a daily basis, or all the slides what I'm going to present you is going to be on ultimately treatment success rate. What I really want to bring your focus onto it is a kind of delivery care model, which will redefine the treatment success rate. On that context, let me bring in a new phrase called pay wider model. Probably you would have heard about it. Probably it may be a kind of discussion as well in your boardroom. Pay wider concept is basically a payer or insurance getting into the space of care provider, or on the other side, for example, care providers, hospitals getting into the space of payer, which is really happening currently. It's globally happening, Asia Pacific as well. For example, if you can just bring one specific example, Narayana Health, which is one of the largest hospital chains in India. Last year, in 2024, they have already entered into the space of provider, insurance. According to the founder, Dr. Devi Shetty, what he says is this is very essential to bring in a trust element between the care provider, between the insurance provider, and between the patients. It's a kind of trio, right? So according to him, what he says is currently the hospitals do not believe the insurance providers, and insurance providers do not believe on the hospitals segment, and then patients do not provide both of them, right? So that's a kind of trust gap that our system has got. So what he's telling is such kind of, bringing all things under one umbrella is very essential. So that's a kind of new, the treatment success rate, the provider model, which is really evolving within the region, of course, globally as well. So many things are happening within the region. Now, I just wanted to, take a deep dive to the initial 4 boxes that I've showed you. This is the first one. And I just want to highlight the fact that this region faces passing through a second transformation. If we can say the first transformation is along with the pandemic for the digital transformation adoption, I would say the second transformation, which is really happening now, mainly by the adoption of or explosive growth of Gen AI, right? Almost 50%, topmost healthcare, so the technological priorities for the healthcare provider organization in the region is on generative AI, definitely for the next 1 to 2 years down the line. And IDC has defined, for example, come out with in the recent prediction, which stated that by 2026, there's going to be a doubling of the investments on Gen AI, by the healthcare provider organizations, mainly driven by three factors. One is on the curated clinical data and increased organizational buy-in and rapid use cases adoption within the region. Now, in the same context, it'll be very interesting to know, you all will agree with me that 2024 was the year last year, where we have seen more of experimentation, POCs of GenAI within the region. And in 2025, we could see certain percentage of use case adoptions have really came out from the POC stage or pilot stage to a scalable phase, a production phase, which we call it as, after ensuring the success factor. Now, it'll be very interesting to know what are those success factors which is really bringing the healthcare use cases from POC to production, right? So based on IDC's survey, or with CIO survey, we have just identified the key factors, 5 factors, starting with the first factor is about organizational readiness. There are multiple sub-elements into it. One is definitely on the skill development, definitely the organizational the change management system. And of course, it needs to be a better collaboration, for example, between IT and LOBs, especially in the context of GenAI. So that's the organizational readiness, what we talk about. Second factor is on use case prioritization, right? Because there need to be a better alignment of the generative AI use case with the business priority, with the pain point that organization has got. And third one is on data architecture, security, and compliance. As the name indicates, it's more, will focus more towards AI governance, which I am going to take a deep dive in the upcoming slide. And the fourth one is on enterprise AI platform. Here, the focus is more on, the AI project bandwidth, bringing technological knowledge within the organization, and then the measuring of AI success. Whatever, the use cases that we adopt, ultimately, it needs to be measured, because whatever measured could be improved, right? So even in your case, for example, if there is a vendor discussion which is really happening about the GenAI adoption, first, one of the initial questions that you'll be asking the vendor, what is going to be my ROI, right? So this can be brought into dollar value, it can be on quality improvement, it can be on, productivity gains as well. So on that same context, let me just bring in a very interesting case study from Fujita Hospital in Japan, whereas in 2024, they have adopted a GenAI use case for their discharge summary preparation. You all agree with me that the discharge summary preparation includes huge amount of time, and it's a complex scenario as well, because it needs an integration of multiple departments, integration of multiple data platforms, right? So they have identified this as a pain point. They have deployed 2024 GenAI adoption for this. They have leveraged large language model, and by which they could bring in the discharge summary by gaining almost 90% of the clinician's time or senior healthcare staff's time by the adoption of this. And they said that one of their reason for success is mainly the AI governance mechanism that they have got organization-wide. So that's why I just thought of bringing this particular case study in this context. Then in the same breath, when I'm talking about GenAI, I should be speaking about agentic AI as well, because as the region is focusing more on efficiency and then care outcome, there's always more focus on agentic AI. For example, almost 3/4 of the organizations, the care provider organization within the region said that we will be investing in agentic AI because it has got topmost priority on productivity angle, right? And from IDC, what we realize is, when we speak to the CIOs, when we see on the right side graph, in 2024, what they told us was, when they identify a GenAI budget, it's not from the compromise of an existing IT budget. They have got exclusive GenAI budget. So what is going to happen in 2025 and 2026 is, because of the agentic AI adoption, it's going to take certain portion of the GenAI budget. What is that portion? For example, by the end of this year, 2025, if it's around 19%, is the GenAI budget portion of by agentic AI. In 2026, it's going to be around 30%. So we expect that more adoption, more prioritization for agentic AI within the healthcare sector. Now, for the healthcare organization within the region, the topmost operational priority is on AI and automation, because they said that because we are handling more huge number of data sets, and there's more need for data leveraging, and of course, real-time data analysis as well, which in turn is leading to intelligent automation or care outcome. And IDC has quantified this on the right side portion of the slide. You can see quantified it as a saving of around $110 billion by from 3 segments. For example, clinical, operational, and administrative workflows through intelligent automation. And very interesting case from Sunway Medical Center in Malaysia, wherein they have brought in this kind of workflow automation within the radiology department. And we know that, for example, when we go to any hospital, we can see maximum rush in the radiology department. And they have brought in a workflow. For example, they have brought in this X-ray. They deployed this AI adoption in the X-ray analysis of chest X-rays, because of which they could prioritize the patients. They could triage the patients so that they could identify supercritical patients and the less critical patients. They could bring in a better resource allocation, bring in a better workflow within the organization, within the hospital. Now, a question comes, what is really feeding to this kind of AI adoption? Topmost organization, for example, 47% said that our focus is more going to be on investment on data, healthcare data platform and informatics, when we aim at to feed this AI and AI automation within the organization. And this in turn is also strongly supported by EHR modernization. That's very important in the current context that we are discussing. And a combination of these two, for example, focusing on data platform and EHR modernization, in fact, leading the regional healthcare organization more towards think beyond the individual hospital rather than a more one health record platform as well. For example, countries like Indonesia, country like Malaysia, India, Australia, they're all in a way moving towards nationwide one health record platform by bringing in, by unification of multiple health data platform. It's not easy. The countries like Taiwan and Singapore has already attained that. But future of healthcare, especially in the context of Gen AI, is going to be a unified data platform. But in the same tone, having said that, the regional healthcare organizations are facing certain challenges. For example, European healthcare sector, they told us that the primary obstacle that we face in the current scenario is more on the prevalence of siloed processes and applications. So more need to be done to address this siloed data platform within the organization. They said that because of which we are not able to leverage the data and insights for improved operational efficiency, right? So in the same context, let me just bring in the inter-systems offerings. We have already seen, many areas of EHR modernization that we are seeing, revolutionization of the EHR adoption. We have seen the demo as well. So nothing comes. Whatever I'm going to say is in front of the demo that we have already seen. Of course, we are going to see in the afternoon as well, more about inter-systems, IntelliCare. But let me just bring in a quick overview of the features of inter-systems. For example, the topmost point, we talk about overall workflow supported by advanced Gen AI functionality, followed by the clinician's efficiency enhancement. Here, there are 2 focus areas I just identified: customizable AI prompts. For example, what is happening is when the clinician is in consultation with the patient, at any point of time, clinicians can, through our customized prompts, he can get the quick context summary of the patient so that he can lead to a better diagnostic accuracy. And of course, human-in-the-loop data review and confirmation. We have already seen that. We have already seen the human-in-the-loop earlier in the form of human avatars. But I was discussing with Dimitri Fain during the break. So we were just discussing very interesting concept, because human-in-the-loop system is very important to bring in a trust element within the EHR modernization process. Even if it's not the form of avatars, but definitely it's going to really percolate it to the hospitals, which is very important. And the third one is very important: seamless clinician-patient interaction. I just want to bring in that ambient interfaces into it. For example, ambient listening capabilities, we have already seen. So my explanation is not required. We have seen in the demo in the morning here. And then voice-to-text image capturing capabilities as well. But having said that, my key focus area when we talk about IntelliCare, InterSystems, I just want to emphasize and read loud that its capability of embedded AI capabilities to bring in the clinical data directly to the EHR, so that it's on well-structured format for data analytics as well as leveraging Gen AI as well. So that's the power of IntelliCare, I would say. In single statement, if I just wanted to bring in the power of IntelliCare, I really want to emphasize at the bottom of the slide on the right side. Now, okay, so we'll just go to the third priority, which we have seen, the evolving care delivery model. I'll not spend too much of time on this. It's basically what we have seen at care delivery model. We have seen telemedicine evolving more towards telehealth. We have seen, remote patient monitoring moving more towards hospital-at-home care management. There are many, the prioritization efforts which is really happening towards shifting care from hospital to home. We are seeing over the past 3 to 4 years down the line, and it's getting matured as well. And almost 2 by 3 of the organization said that when we adopt patient-centric care delivery model in the context of real-time patient capture, data capture, we'll be focusing more on personalization aspect as well. Just want to say that in the current context, wherein let's say take the case of diabetic care management, it's no more a periodical care, it's no more an episodical care, it's a continuous data capture, right? Similarly, a cardiac care as well. And any kind of abnormalities, if it could be addressed by the by the respective hospital or care provider, and that's what the system needs as part of care outcome. And IDC as well has pointed out about the prediction by 2026, because of the doubling of the patients, and we expect almost a 55% increased investment towards this segment. I just want to spend 1 to 2 minutes on the case study by Manipal Hospital, which is a very interesting case study, which is touching very close to my heart as well. Manipal Hospital in India, what they have done is they have brought in this connected care, a shifting care from hospital to home for high-risk surgeries. For example, surgeries like open heart surgery and total knee replacement surgery. In a way, in an ideal situation, the patient need to be at the hospital around 10 days, 10 plus days. But what they have done with this kind of care, shifting of care from hospital to home, is they were able to discharge the patient on 3rd day or 4th day. But the patient will be shifted from hospital to home, but they are well connected through wearables, right? And all their vitals are being continuously monitored. And any kind of abnormality for such kind of high-risk patients, there will be a hospital intervention. This is very important. Mainly from the fact that the patient said that at any point of time, we never felt that we are away from the hospital, right? It's why I said it's close to my heart, because my mother, when she undergone a total knee replacement surgery, and she was shifted to home, we were actually completely detached from the hospital. We couldn't contact the doctor. One evening, she was having some blood coming out of the knee. We couldn't contact the doctor. It was a Saturday evening, right? So I'm just bringing to a personal scenario to bring in a better connectivity to you all to such kind of shifting of care from hospital to home, because that's very, very essential for every hospital, not only high-risk surgeries as well, even in normal surgeries, it's going to be a priority. Moving on, we will enter into the cybersecurity space. Let me start the cybersecurity segment with a very powerful quote from Parkway Hospital, Francis Yeo. The highlight of this is, it's not a quote, I would say it's a kind of warning. He says that even the compromise of a single connected device could allow the cyber criminals to significantly disrupt hospital operations. So that's a kind of warning that how important it is to focus the investments on cybersecurity. Now, this is an overall picture about the cybersecurity within the Asia-Pacific region. Let me just consolidate this slide by bringing in certain phrases. For example, when we take about the cybersecurity within the region, it's more turning from reactive to predictive. It's a must. It's not a good to have. And it's more turning towards from cybersecurity to cyber resilience, which we have seen earlier as well. So, and almost 50%, 45% of the organization said, we will be focusing on investment on cybersecurity, mainly to protect my AI systems. So, just want to emphasize that AI is becoming a double-edged sword. For example, hospitals are increasingly adopting AI, we were all discussing, but at the same time, the cyber attackers, they are also making their attack more complex by AI adoption. It's a kind of double-edged sword. According to IDC, we expect that by 2026, there's going to be a growing cybersecurity versus 40% healthcare organizations to focus on AI-enabled cybersecurity solutions within the region. And very interesting case from a regional cancer center in India in 2024. The region is experiencing a lot of cyber attacks. Multiple hospitals have undergone cyber attacks. Multiple countries, for example, Singapore, Australia, India. In India, there was a hospital at Regional Cancer Center. In 2024, during the cyber attack, even there, the radiation dosage, radiation software got hacked, and then the hospital couldn't control the dosage to the patients. Imagine a scenario where a cancer patient undergoing a radiation therapy, and then, when there are almost, 100 plus radiation therapies on a single day, imagine the hospital couldn't control the radiation dosage, right? So we always relate cyber attack with, more reputation of the institution, for example, in this case, hospital, or more on data breach, right? Now we are in a scenario where it's really going to touch the lives of the patients as well. So what I'm trying to highlight is the emphasis or prioritization, the need of the time to focus on AI-enabled cybersecurity, so that there's always a real-time threat detection capability for the organizations. Now, we are just entering to the last couple of slides. I think 2 more slides, I would say. So earlier I said that about data governance. One of the case studies by Japanese hospital, they said that we could evolve from POC to production phase because we had AI governance mechanism in place. And let me just bring in focus on the left side graph. 61% of the organization within Asia, within the region, said that we have got responsible AI governance policies. I'm talking about the last 2 bars. So we have got responsible AI governance mechanism, but only 27% said that we have got organization-wide responsible AI governance mechanism in place. So that's a kind of alarming scenario. I would say that healthcare providers must have a unified AI governance system in place. On the right side graph, the right side of the slide, if you focus on it, it's a kind of framework that IDC has brought in. There are multiple elements to the governance mechanism, as you can see here. In your institution, for example, if there is an AI strategy, that AI strategy is really going to get influenced by external factors. For example, there are regulatory guidelines, there are ethical parameters, there are ethical considerations, social considerations as well. So, if there is an AI governance mechanism in the organization, that will enable the organization to tackle such kind of external parameters, because the system will be more compliant, right? More regulatory compliant. Now, the AI governance mechanism, AI governance need to be a core part of the organizational strategy, and need to be a core part of the organizational culture as well, right? And when you see the center part of the framework, when you see at the core, at the heart of the AI governance is AI technology architecture, right? And which has got multiple components. For example, what are the components? It has got data, it has got applications, it has got infrastructure, it has got platform. And each of these components, which you can see at the heart of the governance mechanism, each of these components need to have AI governance mechanism. Why? Because mainly it need to be assessed. For example, there need to be an assessment on the risk of AI system. Need to be an operational aspect, mainly to confirm the AI system within place, AI algorithm in place, and there need to be a monitored as well through a certain kind of auditing and then tracking mechanism as well. So that's the power of AI mechanism, and if it is well executed, ultimately you can see what the outcome. Outcome is more on responsible AI, wherein there is a kind of explainable AI in place, there is a kind of transparent AI in place, and it's a kind of responsible AI in place. What's the power of this? Any clinician, for example, if a cardiac doc consultant or let's say neurology consultant, if he's adopting an AI system in his place, he will be more doubly sure about the system that he's adopting. He will be sure about the number of data, for example, on the number of data sets based on which the AI algorithm is trained, right? So he's more confident of adopting it, and he's more confident of proposing or prescribing to the patients as well. So that's the power of AI governance mechanism within the organization. You can see at the bottom from director of Singh Health's office, where he's mainly focusing on 2 angles. One is on the training data, and as well as the AI hallucinations in the context of AI governance mechanism. We are entering to the last slide, CARE framework. As I said earlier, I'm going to leave you all with the CARE framework, C-A-R-E framework, because I just brought it in this way. Its CARE framework is nothing. For example, whatever we have discussed for the past 30 minutes, I've just consolidated. So that'll be easy for you to adopt in your life as you move forward. Let us just get into each one of these elements in this. As you can see here, I'll just pass through one by one. For example, C-A-R-E. Here, C stands for create a robust data foundation. So focus on creating a robust, trusted data platform, right, by strongly supported or through an EHR modernization, which is well connected with GenAI, to ensure that there is interoperability in place, and of course, there are real-time insights for clinical and operational excellence in place. So the foundation is getting set. We have already talked about it earlier, and then, of course, there need to be a focus on cloud platform as well, because you need to ensure your scalability point of view, right? And then A stands for aligning the use cases, which again we talked about earlier. It's very important that use case alignment is very important with the business goal, and that is one angle. And for better adoption, there need to be more collaboration between the IT as well as line of business as well, because especially in the context of GenAI, right? So that's A. A stands for alignment. Then R. R stands for reassess. That's mainly focusing on security. For example, reassessing the integrated security platform, and then reassessing the second bullet point, reassessing the cloud-based security solutions. For example, as a service model, security model. And then third one is on reassessing the proactive threat mitigation. All things we have discussed earlier. I'm just trying to bring it into a consolidated form. And interestingly, I was discussing with Kathleen yesterday evening when we met here. Kathleen I just want to add Kathleen's point as well. She was presenting about training, right? Internal training, organizational training. So it's an addition to it. Reassess your training priorities and the extent of training, because training the staff is, again, very important when we talk about security of the organization. Fourth one, last one, E. E stands for establishing an AI and data governance mechanism. Again, we have discussed it. I just want to highlight on the last three areas. On clinical monitoring, disease prediction, and behavior analytics, where the AI system is touching the lives of the patients, it's no more a good to have AI governance. AI governance is going to be a must-have scenario, right? So that's care framework. I'm sure that it will precipitate within your mind even after when we disperse for lunch. When you leave the venue today, I'm very sure that care framework will still be remaining within your mind. That's my purpose as well. So let me conclude my session today. Hope you all enjoyed it. And then as you all, steering the healthcare sector within the region, and all the very best for your data and AI leveraging as well. Thank you so much.